Rachel Zegler was given the chance of a lifetime with a $200 million project from Disney, but she definitely blew it because by the end she was being torched by the company.
Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney, the board of directors, the many executives over there are really just scrambling right now to just get past this movie and call it quits and just move on to other projects.
Rachel Zegler, once Disney's chosen star for their ambitious $200 million Snow White remake, now finds herself engulfed in a Hollywood maelstrom, a stark and cautionary narrative of a dream spectacularly curdled. What began as a golden opportunity, headlining a tentpole Disney project, stepping into the iconic shoes of a beloved fairy tale heroine, has instead devolved into a protracted public relations catastrophe, culminating in deeply unsettling allegations of a clandestine studio blacklist that threatens to irrevocably derail her burgeoning career. Whispers and rumors, initially confined to hushed industry circles, have now escalated into a deafening roar, suggesting that by the time the curtain fell on the disastrous Snow White remake, Zegler wasn't merely weathering the predictable storm of online critics and legions of disappointed fans. She had, according to increasingly credible sources, become a veritable persona non grata within the very walls of the Magic Kingdom itself.
I didn't get that. I'm like, every single white male is a piece of shit, and the woman is the hero, and all authority is bad, and all business is bad, but government is good as social. And most people don't know what they're watching. She, unfortunately, sort of pulled the curtain back, and people knew exactly what was going on.
The whispers have morphed into a chorus of explosive allegations, echoing throughout the entertainment industry and reverberating far beyond the typical confines of Hollywood gossip. Shocking new developments have emerged, painting a picture of a studio in full-blown crisis mode, with Rachel Zegler at the very epicenter of the storm. These allegations, if substantiated, suggest nothing less than a deliberate and potentially career-ending professional blacklisting orchestrated by the Walt Disney Company, a stunning accusation that has sent shockwaves rippling through the industry and sparked furious debate about power, accountability, and the often brutal realities of Hollywood's star-making machinery.
Yes, Toolman.
Yeah, I have a clip of it.
Oh, okay, great.
Her being a retard.
Okay.
It's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White.
That laugh.
That is
not going to be saved by
You
the
wrote
prince.
it?
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
According to sources purportedly operating in close proximity to the young actress, Zegler has, in recent weeks, become acutely aware of internal communications, some veiled and subtle, others reportedly far more direct and unambiguous, hinting at a meticulously coordinated and far-reaching effort within the upper echelons of Disney to effectively and perhaps permanently freeze her out of any and all future Hollywood endeavors. The accusation is stark and deeply troubling. Following the undeniably catastrophic critical and commercial reception of their live-action Snow White remake, Disney executives haven't simply sought to publicly shift the burden of blame for the film's multifaceted failure squarely onto Zegler's shoulders, citing her undeniably controversial public remarks as the primary catalyst for audience alienation. They have allegedly gone a significant step further, actively, and through potentially covert channels, orchestrated a systematic campaign to ensure that she becomes, in essence, radioactive to any and all marquee projects currently in development across the industry.
It just takes a beloved movie and makes it much more boring and much less realistic. The movie is really, really bad.
The alleged internal sentiment driving this drastic and potentially career-ending action, as described by sources privy to the inner workings of Disney, paints a grim and unflattering portrait of a studio in full-blown corporate panic. Disney executives, from the towering figure of CEO Bob Iger and the influential board of directors down through the labyrinthine layers of studio management, are purportedly operating in a state of near-frantic damage control, their primary objective laser-focused on strategically distancing the entire Walt Disney Company and its meticulously curated brand image from the rapidly metastasizing Snow White debacle. The overarching priority, according to these increasingly insistent whispers, is to simply move on, to swiftly and decisively bury the cinematic carcass of the ill-fated film, and to aggressively cauterize any and all lingering reputational damage that threatens to bleed out and infect other, more promising properties within the vast Disney portfolio.
She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
Our rights are on the line, folks.
The right to buy Cosby sweaters?
Come on.
That's the face
Go
of a
vote blue.
serial killer.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, just hit the unfollow button.
And in this alleged high-stakes strategy of corporate self-preservation, Rachel Zegler, the once anointed fairest of them all, the actress handpicked to embody a new generation of Disney heroines, has allegedly become tragically expendable, a strategically positioned and publicly vilified scapegoat deemed necessary to absorb the brunt of the audience's ire and deflect broader scrutiny from the studio's own potentially flawed creative and marketing strategies. This latest bombshell revelation marks a dramatic and deeply unsettling escalation in what was already a profoundly tumultuous and increasingly toxic saga. What initially began as a relatively contained public relations crisis surrounding a demonstrably poorly received and commercially underperforming film project has now morphed, with alarming speed and intensity, into deeply troubling accusations of deliberate career sabotage, with fingers of blame pointing directly towards the highest echelons of corporate power within one of the world's most influential entertainment conglomerates.
The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Say it louder so your other eye can hear you.
So we didn't do that this time.
Whispers of clandestine legal threats are now circulating in hushed tones throughout Hollywood backlots, and a palpable sense of shattered trust between a once promising rising star and the very entertainment behemoth that initially championed her ascent hangs heavy in the air. It underscores, in stark and unforgiving terms, the profoundly precarious and often brutal nature of Hollywood relationships, how seemingly unbreakable alliances can crumble with astonishing rapidity, and how a project initially perceived as a guaranteed triumph, a golden ticket to superstardom, can just as swiftly transform into a professional abyss, a career-threatening quagmire under the relentless, unforgiving glare of social media scrutiny, industry gossip, and the cold, calculating calculus of corporate self-preservation.
Well, the
Film finally premiered, scores of moviegoers and critics lamented the absence of the lighthearted enchantment that characterized the original. It just takes a beloved movie and makes it much more boring and much less realistic. The movie is really, really bad.
You don't particularly see people who, look like me or are me playing roles like that. So it was definitely, when it got announced,
He wasn't a stalker, by the way.
thing that was like trending on Twitter for days because all of the people were angry.
Zegler's comments during press junkets, where she called the prince creepy and labeled the timeless romance outdated, ignited their own firestorm online. Overnight, she went from being an optimistic voice for fresh interpretations to the de facto scapegoat for an entire film's perceived disrespect of classic Disney tradition, illustrating how precariously a rising career can hang when a project that once seemed like a guaranteed triumph collapses. In the immediate aftermath of the film's dismal box office take and negative feedback, Disney executives reportedly considered multiple strategies to salvage what was fast becoming an unmitigated PR nightmare.
And so it was like
those people.
very much this, yes. It was this
people that we
awakening
need to educate, the people that we need to love into awareness.
love them in the right direction.
Initially, some higher-ups floated the idea of shifting marketing dollars to push streaming releases, hoping to quietly bury Snow White and pivot to other projects. Yet as shareholder and fan outrage escalated, the narrative turned hostile. High-ranking insiders began pointing to Zegler's interviews and social media posts, suggesting that her dismissive tone regarding the 1937 original masterpiece had alienated core audiences. Publicly, the studio withheld explicit blame, but privately, sources say certain executives discussed ways to isolate Zegler from upcoming roles at both Disney and its subsidiary brands.
Yeah. Everyone is serving it's just her going, we need to No, you don't need, it's not your job. Your job is to entertain. You are paid to entertain. That's what this is. Also, it's very disturbing.
Underscoring how swiftly a beloved figure can be recast as a liability when corporate profits and brand identity come under threat. Gal Gadot, the film's other marquee star, was not spared criticism, but her role in the controversy appeared more muted. While her portrayal of the evil queen was initially hailed as an inspired choice, she largely refrained from addressing the swirling disputes, preferring a low-key promotional approach that left Zegler front and center for press queries.
Very few people wanted to see this. Even the little kids who like Disney movies, even they don't seem to be turning up in droves for the movie because the movie is really, really bad.
Disney insiders soon recognized that Godot, despite also appearing in the ill-fated film, had managed to sidestep the vitriol directed at her co-star. In contrast, Zegler's frankness about modernizing themes in Snow White gave disgruntled fans a clear target for their frustrations. By the time the film's shocking underperformance was tallied, rumors swirled about Disney's legal department preparing a case against Zegler to recover damages for reputational harm. This dynamic fueled further chatter that the actress was being used as a convenient scapegoat for a project riddled with miscalculations.
And so I've got some bona fides here on being fair. The movie was absolutely terrible.
Yet the real bombshell only arrived in recent weeks, when individuals close to Zegler claimed that Disney's discontent had escalated into an active blacklist. In the modern Hollywood lexicon, a blacklist typically refers to unofficial bans or do-not-hire lists quietly circulated among producers and casting agents. According to these new allegations, Zegler found out about her rumored persona non grata status when prospective collaborators abruptly stopped returning her calls, and ongoing negotiations for multiple film and TV roles mysteriously broke down at the 11th hour.
In every way that the movie differed from the beloved 1937 original, it was worse.
In at least 2 instances, production insiders allegedly confided that Disney executives had voiced disapproval of her involvement, warning that the studio might withhold support or distribution deals if she were attached to those projects. Revealing the extent to which one of the biggest entertainment conglomerates can flex its muscles behind the scenes. Asked for comment, Disney representatives offered only a sterile statement referencing rumors and speculation about internal processes, dismissing talk of an active blacklist as unsubstantiated. Yet rumors continue to gather steam.
It basically, this movie was like you took the original Snow White and just put everything through this filter of liberalism. It wasn't through a filter of Japanese anime, it was through a filter of liberalism.
Some observers pointed out that Disney owns a vast media empire spanning streaming platforms, television networks, theme parks, and film franchises, giving it enormous sway over what kinds of stories and talent get greenlit. Fear of damaging a relationship with Disney could be enough to deter many smaller studios from risking collaboration with an actor on the outs with the entertainment giant. During a live social media quanda, her first major public appearance after the rumors surfaced, Zegler refused to mince words. She hinted that she felt betrayed by a company that had once touted her as a breakthrough talent and champion of inclusivity, only to turn on her the moment controversy ensued.
So from the casting to the class politics, the sexual politics, the regime politics, everything about it was liberal.
While she avoided naming specific Disney executives, she alluded to people in high places who had the power to make sure I can't get another acting job if they so desired. Her revelations underscore that star-studio relationships can transform drastically when a production veers off course and the blame game begins. The severity of the alleged blacklist suggests that behind-the-scenes tensions must have reached a breaking point. Sources say that Zegler was already at odds with Disney's legal team following a string of emergency meetings in which the studio scrutinized her contractual obligations to uphold and protect the Disney legacy.
Snow White is generally understood to be a very, very white person. And in this case, they decided, nope, no, that doesn't make any sense. So I don't think we're allowed to say that, right? I was referring to the movie as sand beige.
The actress's rebuttal was that she merely echoed the promotional angle Disney had said, which emphasized Snow White's modern empowerment rather than the passive fairy tale romance of old. In Zegler's view, it was inconsistent and possibly duplicitous for the studio to have directed her to extol progressive changes, only to later claim her remarks were damaging. Hollywood insiders watching the drama unfold offer varied perspectives. Some argue that if Zegler was truly blacklisted, Disney stands to lose as well. The actress remains popular among younger demographics. Her prior success and social media following are significant assets.
It's no really knock on her. If you did the autobiography of Malcolm X, would you cast Tom Hanks? If you remade Moana, would you cast a little Irish guy? No, you wouldn't. So that was off the top.
Blackballing her might inadvertently provoke backlash from fans who see the move as a corporate smear tactic. Others maintain that Disney, with its near-limitless resources and stable of bankable franchises, can withstand negative press if it means preserving its broader image. The Snow White fiasco from that viewpoint stands as a painful reminder that even the most iconic properties can flop if they alienate the fan base. And the studio will do everything in its power to ensure the fiasco doesn't poison future remakes.
It is
or
not
sequels.
racist to suggest that a character who is described in the original as skin white as snow, that is literally how the character is described in the original, that's a character description in the same way that, as you mentioned, in Moana.
Meanwhile, social media discourse around Zegler's allegations has been passionate to say the least. A segment of users' voices support lambasting Disney for throwing a promising actress under the bus to sidestep corporate accountability for a mismanaged remake. Opponents, however, accuse Zegler of playing victim after openly disparaging aspects of a beloved children's film that shaped multiple generations. For them, the question isn't whether Disney blacklisted her, but whether she effectively blacklisted herself with statements they deemed disrespectful to the source material.
And so this bizarre fixation with race shifting everything, but only in one direction by Disney, obviously is quite strange.
Amid this turbulence, speculation arises that Zegler might pursue legal avenues if she obtains solid proof of blacklisting. While winning a blacklist case against an entity as influential as Disney would be a Herculean task, any legal action could expose internal communications that the entertainment giant might prefer to keep confidential. Ultimately, the question remains, can Rachel Zegler overcome what she calls an unofficial blacklist, or is her once bright Hollywood star destined to fade under corporate pressure? The fiasco around Snow White has prompted a wave of introspection about Disney's live-action remake strategy.
So I want to get to the politics of it because obviously this was a big thing for Rachel Zegler, the star of the film. It was a big thing for all the left-wingers who made the movie. We have this clip that I want to play for you of Rachel Zegler talking about the love story in Snow White and how it has changed. There was Rachel Zegler talking about this.
The original cartoon came out in 1937, and
by sensationally rewriting Snow White, arguably Disney's most iconic fairy tale, and coupling those changes with marketing that championed a modern angle, the studio took a significant gamble. If the rumored blacklist against Zegler is real, it implies that Disney believes the primary failure lies not in its production choices, but in how the cast communicated them. Still, even some defenders concede that Snow White faced numerous obstacles beyond Zegler's commentary. The dwarves, historically a crucial part of the story's charm, were minimized or reimagined in ways that baffled longtime fans. The romance plot, a cornerstone of the original, was recast as a problematic relic.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah. In that sense, blacklisting Zegler, if indeed that's happening, feels like punishing an individual for a systemic breakdown. After all, the direction, script adjustments, and final edit had to pass multiple levels of approval within Disney before the cameras rolled. In interviews before the film's release, Zegler appeared genuinely enthusiastic about revitalizing a character she believed deserved a modern voice. Now, with allegations that Disney used her words as grounds to cut her out of the Hollywood mainstream, the actress has grown more guarded in her media appearances.
We have a different approach to what I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story just because, like, we cast a guy in the movie. Right. Andrew Burnap, great dude.
Yep. Gal Gadot, for her part, has stayed conspicuously quiet regarding Zegler's blacklist claims, choosing to sidestep any mention of behind-the-scenes politics. Meanwhile, Zegler now finds herself fighting for professional survival, alleging that the full might of a multimedia colossus has been turned against her.
One of those things that I think everyone's going to have their assumptions about what it's actually going to be, but it's really not about the love story at all, which is really, really wonderful. And whether or not she finds love along the way is anybody's guess until 2024. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby.
In the background, the broader question facing the industry is whether Disney's perceived retribution sets a concerning precedent. Will future performers feel pressured to sanitize their press statements